fellow book nerds, this is High on Books and it's review time. In this video, I'm going to review 3 books that I've read recently. So let's get started with the list. The first book on my review list is The Light Between the Oceans by M.L. Stedman. Let me begin the review with this beautiful excerpt from the book. And he knows that the man who makes the journey has been shaped by every day and every person along the way. Scars are just another kind of memory. Isabel is part of him wherever she is, just like the war and the light and the ocean. Soon enough the days will close over their lives, the grass will grow over their graves, until their story is just an unvisited headstone. He watches the ocean surrender tonight, knowing that the light will reappear. It's a heartbreaking story, guys. The Light Between the Oceans is the debut novel of the author M.L. Stedman, and for a debut novel, it's truly remarkable. The characters in this book are written really well. Some readers might dislike Isabel for what she does and be annoyed with Tom for letting her do those things without making her see her faults. But I believe this is how exactly M.L. Stedman wanted to write the characters. A young lady overwhelmed with the grief of her 3 miscarriages, making unwise decisions, and a self-righteous man who couldn't stop her because of the fear of losing her. So I'll say yes, the characters are done just right. The plot is simple and interesting, but it moves at a very slow pace. It's an unnecessary stretch and can bore some people. The story could have been much better if it was short. I almost considered DNFing it because of the drag, but I'm glad that I didn't, because the ending was worth it. You already know halfway through the story that you are in for a heartbreak, but how it's done is what makes it worth reading. If you like reading romantic drama and historic fiction, then give this book a try. As for me, I'll rate this book 8 out of 10 stars. The second book on my review list is The Horse and His Boy by C.S. Lewis. Man, it's difficult to review a book by one of your favorite author when you find it racist. Anyway, The Horse and His Boy is the 5th book in Chronicles of Narnia in publication order and 3rd in chronological order. This story follows a boy named Shasta, who in order to escape slavery sets out for Narnia with the talking horse Bree. On their way, they met a talking mare and a girl called Aravis who are also escaping to Narnia. Thus, they decide to travel together. Later on their journey, they learn of a sinister plot against Archenland and Narnia. So their journey becomes a race against time to warn people of the coming danger. We get to see some characters from the previous books as adults in this one. I know it was intentional, but their speech has become a bit flowery and they speak like actual king and queen now, which makes it difficult to connect with them. The only character in whom one feels invested is Shasta. He is a young and innocent boy who is forced to live a hard life. One might find Bree, the talking horse, a bit annoying, maybe because we have seen other talking beasts and they are not as vain as him. Aravis started as a very strong character in the beginning, but later she doesn't get much to do and is reduced to a mere spectator. This book doesn't give the Narnian vibe, and that probably has to do with its being set in Calormen and the journey from there. It could have been a very beautiful story if it were not for the blatant racism. It's clear that the book was written with a supremacist and a xenophobic mindset. But when it was written, it was extremely rare to find a person who wasn't of such a mind. And sadly, C.S. Lewis was no exception. We cannot judge him with today's standards, but we can very much do that with this book. I will not start disliking or hating C.S. Lewis for what he did in this book, because it doesn't change the fact that he was a literary genius and a great storyteller. Everyone has flaws. We need to accept that our heroes are no exception to it. What we can do is appreciate their greatness and call out their inappropriate deeds. Worship them as much as we want, but not letting it cloud our judgment of what's wrong and what's right. So with a very heavy heart, I'll rate The Horse and His Boy 6 out of 10 stars. The third and the last book on my review list is The Face in the Frost by John Bellairs. If you love reading fantasy and high fantasy books, then you're definitely going to enjoy this one. This book kept me glued to itself until I was done with the last page. I can't help mentioning that Prospero's crazy house is a place where I definitely want to be. The story is about 2 wizard friends, Prospero and Roger Bacon, who found themselves in a very grim situation when odd and horrifying things started to happen all over their world. Frost formed on everyone's window in the middle of September and melted away in the morning, always making some familiar horrific face. Doors started to open on their own during midnight. Different objects would cast impossible shadows which scared the people. People living near forest and groves dreamed that trees are calling their children. And during daytime, the trees would cast shadow much darker than usual, and children would show strong desire to play inside woods, forcing their parents to lock them up out of fear. But Prospero and Roger refused to give in to their fear and decided to fight the face in the frost. The journey to fight this thing is an adventurous tale which the story is all about. This is a spooky, curious, witty and a humorous book, but the problem is little is done for the character development here. John Bellairs has focused more on the storyline and less on the characters, which made the story a quick and interesting read, but didn't make me root out for the characters. The ending felt odd and a bit rushed, where we didn't get to see the antagonist properly. There are many things left unexplained in this story, but that's the style of John Bellairs. As Prospero said in the book, unexplained noises are best left unexplained. So, for The Face in the Frost, I'll go for 9 out of 10 stars. This was the video, guys. Do tell me in the comments what you think of the reviews. If you enjoyed the video, do give it a thumbs up and help this book nerd grow by sharing the video and subscribing the channel. I'll see you next time in my next video. Until then, my fellow book nerds, keep reading.